In this demo, I will show you how you can take structured data, like what you see right here on a Google spreadsheet, and turn it into campaigns, ad groups, keywords, and ads in an AdWords account. Here you see an empty AdWords account that doesn't have anything in it right now, and we'd like to take the structured data for a car dealership and start populating campaigns. So the easiest way that we can do this is to use Optmyzr, a product from Optmyzr, to specify a template and then automatically do the build out and automatically run the maintenance as well. So I've already built a template right here to make this demo a little quicker. So let's jump into it right now. The first step in the process is to point this system to the structured data. So in this case, it is a Google spreadsheet, and all I've done is I've copied in the URL to that Google spreadsheet. Now, what it does is it looks at the Google spreadsheet at the first row of the data, and anything that's on here gets brought in and becomes available as a dynamic insertion parameter. So in this car dealership example, imagine they also wanted to include the type of transmission of the vehicle. So we're adding transmission on this list. So now if I come here, notice that transmission is not on this list. But when I say connect to that spreadsheet and figure out what's on it, it's going to pick up that transmission is now an available insertion parameter. So the beauty of this is there's no limit to how you can structure the data, what type of data you bring in. So long as it's in that structured data, so long as it's on the spreadsheet, we can pick it up for you. You can also do this if a spreadsheet has multiple sheets, then you can just specify the name of the sheet within that spreadsheet that has the data that you want to use for this. So what you do next is you specify how we're going to set up the campaign. Again, I've already done an example here, so I've said combine the make and the model of the vehicle to come up with a new campaign. But I could also start typing here, squiggly bracket, and as soon as I type that, it shows me all of the available insertion parameters from the data. So I could easily add the color of the vehicle as well. So now we would combine color, make, and model, and we would make unique campaigns for each combination of these. Now maybe that's a little bit too specific, so let's start with something a little bit simpler, and we're just going to make different campaigns for each make of vehicle that we have. And by the way, if I wanted to put in a little bit of additional text right here, I could just as easily do that. Not everything has to be dynamic. So we're populating new campaigns. We're going to make new campaigns, so that means we also have to set up new budgets. We can associate negative keyword lists. We can do the language and geographic targeting, as well as exclude locations. So go through this to set up the campaigns. Now, if you prefer to just work with existing campaigns, you could do that as well. Then you'll just get a drop down and you'll populate one existing campaign at a time. The next thing we get to specify is how the ad groups should be named. So here I've already set one up. And again, what I've done here is I've combined some parameters from this spreadsheet and I'm combining those into ad groups. So every unique combination of index plus make plus model is going to generate a new ad group. But now remember that what I had done here was make one campaign for each make. So maybe it makes sense to just have the different models of cars for that make as the ad groups in here. And once again, if I want to customize this, just type in the squiggly bracket and it's going to tell you all of the available insertion parameters. So, but here I'm just going to do the model. The maximum CPC I'm going to leave at $1, though you could also dynamically set that from data in your data set. And then I get to specify the keywords as well as the ads. And once again, you can notice it is simply using these dynamic insertions. And so I can type a squiggly bracket and then fill in what I want to bring in from the spreadsheet. And of course, here we're saying make plus model, but I could just as easily add a bit of text ahead of that to say by make model. We can also change the match type, so we can do a broad match modifier, so it's automatically going to put the pluses in the right place. By the way, you put the plus in front of the insertion, and that's going to then make sure that every word that's being picked up from the data set is going to have a plus in front of it. So you can change your match types around like this, or you can delete ones that you don't need anymore, add additional keywords, and then we can jump into the ad generation process. Now you can do two types of ads. You can do a text ad, a call only ad, and in either scenario, you also have to have a default ad. This is important because if you're going to be doing a dynamic ad generation where we combine some of the data from the data set, those could get too long for the character limits that Google allows. And if the ad is too long, in fact, if all of the ads are too long and we don't have any ads to populate the ad group, then that wouldn't be serving. So what we do in that case is we revert back to the default ad so that you can still continue to advertise, even if for some reason, for example, you have a really long car make or car model. So the way that you generate these, I'm just gonna go ahead and edit this. So you see you have all of your components of ad text. And of course, as AdWords is always changing, the number of headlines, the length of description text, we're gonna keep all of this in sync as well so that you can populate the most current types of ads that the system allows. So you can update this, and then we're done with the ad groups. Now, you're not limited to just a single ad group. You can also set up multiple ad groups if you wish. So you could say, I'm going to make one additional ad group template. And actually, there's not just one. You can do as many of these as you need. Now we're in the final step of setting up our template. And this is about the inventory management. So at its most fundamental, the inventory management simply says, when should we make an ad and when should we not? So what we did here is we said we're going to look at one of the values on the spreadsheet. So in this case, we're going to look at the discount. That is a numerical value, so we want to compare it as a number. So if that discount is greater than some value, in this case we typed in 1,000, that's when I want ads to be running. If the discount value is less than or equal to 1,000, then I don't want to run an ad for this. So this gives you the flexibility to say we're not going to advertise everything that's here. So in fact, in this case, we would only advertise the blue Ford Mustang because that has a discount of greater than 1,000. So let's go back and let's make this a little bit less aggressive and say we're going to advertise anytime the discount is greater than 100. And you could also add multiple conditions, so you can get quite flexible with this. The other way that you can use this is you could have different templates applied based on different scenarios. So in this example, if you wanted to run different ads based on the different makes and models that you have, you could set up different Optmyzr templates, and then you could associate them with different inventory. So you could say this specific template, I only want to run it if the brand of the car, so if the make of the car, which is a text value, is equal to Ford, that's when I want to deploy this whole ad template. And then I would make an additional Optmyzr template for all of the other car brands. So that gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of the types of keywords, the types of ad texts, etc. that you set up. But in this case, I'm going to delete that second condition, and we're just going to go ahead and save this. So up until this point, it's been you doing all the work to specify the template. Now let's have the computer do the final steps of this process and actually build out the account for you. So with this template that we've set up, I'm going to hit the preview button right there, and we're going to look at what it's suggesting. Now in the preview, we're going to limit you to showing 2 campaigns that would be changed, created, paused, or something like that. So we're not going to show the full build because these can get very, very large if you have a lot of data in here. So we just want to show you a representative example of what this whole template would be doing. So at a super high level, we have 6 rows on the spreadsheet that were matched and 7 rows evaluated. And remember that we had a condition on the inventory that there had to be a certain discount. So, and actually what we're seeing is all the discounts were met, but there were 7 rows evaluated, and that first row, of course, was the headline. So everything here would be included. Now, we would have 5 different campaigns to create. And as you can see here, the 2 examples, BMW and Volkswagen. Remember that we were just using the make of the car as the campaign name. And then we were using the model of the car as the ad group. So within the BMW campaign, 325i is going to be the only ad group that we create. In the Volkswagen campaign, only the Golf ad group would be created. And once again, referring back to this spreadsheet, if you notice here, we had 1 Volkswagen and 1 BMW, and these were the specific models. Now, when it comes to Ford, for example, we would go and make 2 ad groups, 1 for Mustang, 1 for Explorer. So we go back here, and then we take a final look here at the keywords. So for the Volkswagen campaign, these are the 2 keywords we would have, and these are the ads that we would generate. And so if we're happy with this, we can instant apply, and that's going to make these new campaigns and ads and ad texts and keywords live inside of AdWords. If you'd like to do something else with it first, you can also download a CSV that has that's compatible with the AdWords editor. Now, if you do get some warnings, so in this case, we have 2 ads failing with some level of warning. So if we wanted to look at that, we can download the warnings, and that's going to be a spreadsheet that tells you exactly what rows of your data set are triggering certain types of warnings. And so then you can run through those to fix those. And once you've built this out to the point where it's really exactly what you need it to do, you'll also be able to put this onto an automation so that on a daily basis, we can look at your inventory and we can pause anything that's no longer necessary, create new campaigns, new ad groups, new keywords that are needed, and make sure that your AdWords is always in sync with the things that you sell, the promotions that you offer, and the services that you provide. So let me show you exactly what happens if we apply this. So here's my AdWords account. I'm going to do a refresh on that to show you that it is currently empty. Okay, so there are no active campaigns in here. And then we're happy with this build out. It's going to make 5 campaigns. We're going to do an instant apply. Changes will be applied. So we're going ahead right now. It's processing the template to build out the campaigns. And then it's going to be submitting that in real time to AdWords. And then here we're back in AdWords, and as you can see, we now have 5 dynamic campaigns generated. And let's go and take a look at the BMW campaign. So within that, we have the ad group for 325i. For that, we have these 2 keywords, and we can also take a look at the ads that have been generated. So that's how you build out your automatic inventory-based campaigns through Optmyzr.